Good morning, everyone, and we are going to discuss today some of the elements in object-oriented programming. So last time we already have discussed encapsulation and polymorphism. And today we will be discussing the static keyword. The static keyword in Java is used for memory management. We can always apply static keywords with variables, methods, blocks, and nested class. The static keywords belongs to the class than instance of the class. We can always apply or use the static keyword in a variable. This is also known as the class variable. We can also apply this in a method that is also known as the class methods, blocks, and of course as well as the nested class. Always remember that variables and methods are marked static belong to the class rather than any particular instance of the class. This can be used to without having any instances of the class at all. Only a class that is sufficient to invoke a static method or access to static variables. Always remember that a static variable is shared by all instances of a class. Example, one copy of static variables is always maintained. So let's take this as our example. We have a class counter, and then we have static int animal count is equal to 0. And then declare it as public counter, open parenthesis, and afterwards you are going to increment the value of animal count, which is animal count plus plus equals to 1, which means to say that it will increment the value of animal into 1. And then let's try to declare the method header. Main string gs, and then let's call the counter, the one that we have declared here, and copy, and then let's print the number of animals is, and let's call animal count, and then terminate. So let's see what will be the output. So since we call the counter thrice, so it gives us the number of animal is 3. Kasi tatlong beses natin siyang tinawag. So ibig sabihin, kahit meron tayong mag-i-increment dito, since tinawag natin siya na tatlo, 3 times pa rin yan na ipapakita. Okay? Now, next. We also have the static method, and the static method cannot access non-static or instance variable because method is never associated with any instance. The sample applies with static method as well. Yung itong ginawa nating example na to. A static method can't directly invoke a non-static, but static method can access non-static methods by means of declaring and using them. Now, for us to access the static methods, we can use this syntax. Object reference dot, and then there's instance variable, and object reference dot, and then the object variable. So let's have the uh, example. In this case, I'll be using again the class counter, and then static int count is equal to 0, and then public counter for our method. Open for our for the method that we need to use, and then count plus 1 plus equals to 1. Terminate. So again, it will increment the value by 1. And then so naka-close siya. Ito ay kumbaga siya ay accessible lang within this method. Now, after that, let's declare or have our method header sorry. Magdi-declare tayo ng tinatawag natin na method get count. So again, this is a method na ginawa natin. We need to return the count. Close, and class test animal. Open, have the method header. Static string ELGS. And then, kumbaga parang naka-instantiate siya yung counter. So, same lang din kanina. Tatawag tayo ng 3 beses. And then, system out print ln. The counter is plus counter that count that get count. Terminate. So notice the way in which the static method is called using the class name followed by a method. So, close and then close. Kulang siya. So, ito ay counter. Kasi we use counter here. And then, let's try to run. So, the counter is, of course, 3. Kasi tinawag natin yung counter. Ito yon, yung ating method. This is a method na tinawag natin kanina. Si count is just a variable for incrementing the value by 1. So, sabi natin, kukunin natin si count, i-return yung count natin dito. So, always remember that the static methods cannot be overridden. They can be redefined in a subclass, but by redefining and overriding are not the same thing. It is called hiding. Now, next, we have the inheritance. So one of the key features of object-oriented programming is a inheritance provided mechanism that allows a class to inherit the property of another class. Always remember that when a class extends another class, it inherits all non-private members, including fields and methods. The class, which inherits the properties of the other, is also known as a subclass that is derived from a class or a child class. The class whose properties are inherited is known as superclass, and it could be a base class or a parent class. Always remember that inheritance defines it as a relationship between a superclass or a subclass, and that extends and implements keywords that are used to describe inheritance in Java. So, bakit nga ba kailangan nating magkaroon ng inheritance kay Java? Of course, para magkaroon tayo ng tinatawag natin na method overriding. During runtime, polymorphism can be achieved. And number 2 is for the code reusability. Now, for us to create inheritance, we could have this syntax. We have the class or subclass that names extends, and we have the superclass name and methods in the fields. So let's define some keys to or some terms to remember. Extends is the keyword used to inherit the properties of a class, while the super keyword is used to refer to immediate parent or a class. In other words, super keywords is used by a subclass whenever it needs to refer to its intermediate superclass. So let us have an example of inheritance using this class. Let's create new and then Java class. The class name would be super underscore class. Alright. So this will be a demonstration of inheritance. Let us declare the variable method int test. We have int num. So ito yung kasama na dito yung ano natin, yung diniscuss natin before dun sa ating first this lesson, yung ating yung may mga abstraction. And then return yan. Pagkatapos, magkaroon tayo ng subclass extends superclass. So in this program, kumbaga, ang ating nag-create tayo ng subclass of a superclass. Kung titingnan natin yung ating kumbaga ito yung pinakang parent class. Tapos si subclass here is the child class or subclass. Kaya kumbaga yung the extend keyword here, siya yung nagde-define ng inheritance or nai-inherent niya yung characteristics and attributes ni subclass dito. So, we have to declare method int test int num. And then, mag-return daw tayo ng 300 plus, ilalagay natin dun sa kung ilan man yung number. Declare our main method or main header, public class, super demo. Ito naman, ang ginagawa naman niya, siya yung bahala, itong si super demo, siya yung bahala dun sa tinatawag natin na inheritance ng dalawang parent and superclass. We have public static void name try to open. We have subclass, bigyan natin, i-instantiate natin siya by giving a name at tawagin natin si subclass method. System.out.print ln super keyword in Java demonstration. Ito, kopyahin ko na lang. /n. Kopyahin ko na lang dito. Tawagin na natin yung result. The result is class object.test 200. Terminate. So, tingnan natin. Wala siyang plus sign. Ito naman. Alright. So, kinakailangan pala yung plus natin ay dito siya nakapangalan. So, let's rename by double-clicking your super demo. Apply lang natin. And then, let's run. So, nakalagay dito, super keyword in Java, the result is 500. Bakit 500? Kasi yung 300 natin dito kanina, na in-extend natin, galing kay superclass. Ang ginawa natin, nagdagdag pa tayo dito ng 200. So, yun yung object test natin kanina. Kasi sabi natin si object here ay galing kay pangalan na superclass. Si superclass, nandito sa loob niya si num, na binigyan natin ng 200. So, 300 plus 200 is equal to 500. Okay? Now, let's move on. Now, let's have another example using inheritance. So, mag-new tayo ulit. Java class. So, ang kanyang pangalan ay, so let's see, record mo na. This one. Gawin natin, okay. Meron pa ba ako dito yung student? So, gawa tayo ng bago. Gawin natin siyang student. Meron na daw, nag-e-exist na. Try natin, tingnan natin kung meron ako dito student, meron na. So, gawin natin siyang students. And then, since it is a student Java, create muna tayo ng class record. So, let's declare a variable. Dahil siya ay class na Myra G plus string course yes and let's declare H. We will be using public class student extends record. Pangalan students extends record. Then declare again a variable school double tuition halimbawa ay 6,556. Anong sabi? Expected. Okay. Wala tayong equal sign. Declare natin ang ating public main header. students. Bigyan natin siya ng bagong pangalan. Instantiate natin ulit. And then another LN student information using inheritance in Java. Mamaya titignan natin kung ano nag-error. System that student name was and then of course ito naman ay age. Yung kasunod ay school. And next one, ito babaguhin natin. Course. Edad. School. Ito ay tuition. Okay, tingnan natin kung ano ba yung nag-error. So, ito yung ating pangalan. Ito yung isa. Ano sabi? Alright. So, dapat ito, yan, ay nandito sa ibaba. So, yan. I-run natin. Run 5. So, nakalagay, student information using inheritance in Java. Meron tayo dun sa number 26. Tingnan natin. Kasi, Java that lang name. Course name. Students that name. Students that course. Ito ay students that age. Ito naman ay school. And ito ay tuition. So, let's try to run it again. Yun. Sige. So, pinakita na niya. Nakalagay. Ito yung ating pinakita niya yung ating pangalan, ating course, kung ilang edad, sang school, at kung magkano yung binigay na tuition. So ito, ipinapakita dito sa program na to na meron tayong estudyante that will be our parent class at ang subclass niya ay si record. Kumbaga, in-extend lang natin kay record yung or in-inherent lang ni record yung mga attributes ni class using the extends keyword here. The reason why, itong mga to, nakuha niya pagdating dito. So, kahit pa ang ginamit natin, kung mapapansin ninyo, si estudyante ay ginamit natin na students at binigyan natin ng pangalan na bagong studs. And itong kanya mga data na nandito kay record ay nakuha ni estudyante kasi in-extend natin siya. Which means to say, whatever the value of record will always be the value of students kasi siya ay naka-extend sa atin. Now, meron kasi tayong iba't ibang klase ng inheritance. Number 1 is the single inheritance. So, dito, ipinapakita that if one of the single inheritance is one of the easiest way to understand the inheritance. When a class extends another class, only one, then we call it a single inheritance. Itong example na nandito shows that a class B extends only one class, which is A. So, dito, ang parent natin ay si A of a class B, and B would always be a child of class A. Next type of inheritance is the multiple inheritance. See, multiple inheritance refers to the concepts of one class extending more than one base class. Ito naman, the inheritance will learn earlier that had a concept of one base class or parent. The problem with the multiple inheritance is that the derived class will have to manage the dependency on two base classes, and most of new object-oriented programming languages kagaya ni Smalltalk, kagaya ni Java, kagaya ni C#, kagaya ng C++, that does not support multiple inheritance. And multiple inheritance is only supported by C++. Let's take this as our example. Meron tayong si class A, that is our parent class, and si class B and another parent class. Now, dito, in-extend natin o kinuha natin yung attributes ni A at saka ni B. Kaya tinawag niya, so, ibig sabihin, lahat ng attributes na meron si A at saka si B, mapupunta siya lahat kay C. So, yun yung tinatawag natin na multiple inheritance. Next is a multi-level inheritance. Multi-level inheritance refers to a mechanism in object-oriented technology where one can inherit from a derived class final int is limit 90 void run Okay, so in this program, nakikita natin na we declare a final variable dito. Pagkatapos, sabi mo, kapag magra-run na siya, bibigyan mo siya ng another value. So, meron siyang tinatawag na error. Kasi bakit? Kasi sabi nga natin, yung final variable cannot change the value. Kaya nakalagay dito, cannot assign a value to a final variable. Kasi, dito nga, meron na siyang value. And another thing, nilagyan mo pa ulit siya dito. Kaya siya ay meron tinatawag na compile error. Now, next, si final method. Si final method naman, if you make any method as final, you cannot override it. Again, let us use this as your example program. Okay, ito, we have class game and final. So this is our method. System.out.print bowling class okay extends game. System.out.print volume city with 100 kilometers per hour. Close natin and public static game para sa ating public header cricket 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 and then cricket that run. Okay. So, in this case, nagkaroon tayo ulit ng tinatawag na error. So, nakalagay at override annotation. Overridden method is final, which means to say, tama yung sabi natin dun sa ating value, na yung final method cannot override it. Ibig sabihin, kapag in-override natin siya, hindi siya pwede dahil sabi natin that a final method cannot be override. Now, for a final class, ito naman, if you make any class as final, hindi mo naman siya pwedeng i-extend. Let's have, again, another example para mapakita lang natin na pag ginamit natin siya dun sa final class, hindi natin siya pwedeng i-extend. Okay. So, we have a class game. Lagay natin ng final class dun sa unahan niya. Then, class cricket extends game. So, dito pa lang, no, cannot inherit from a class game. alam na agad natin dito pa lang sa line of code na to na if we are going to use the final keyword dun sa ating class name, hindi natin siya pwedeng i-extend. Okay? Now, next, let's move on with abstraction. Abstraction is a process of hiding the implementation details and showing one functionality to other. Another way, it shows only important things to the user and hides the internal details. For example, sending SMS, you just type the text and send the message, but you don't know the internal processing about the message delivery. So there are two ways to achieve abstraction in Java. Number one is abstract class from 0 to 100% and the interface which is 100%. Abstract class is declared as abstract, that is known as abstract class. It needs to be extended and its method should be implemented. Always remember that an abstract cannot be instantiated. Abstract class always works as your parent class. This method or the method of a subclass will override the abstract methods of abstract class. So let's have this as your example. So in this we have an example of abstract class books. Ito, ibig sabihin, it creates an abstract class. And then, dito, yan, abstract class books, meron tayo. And then, you create abstract class. Then, you define an abstract method. And class here, extend the parent class. And override the abstract method. Now, the abstract method class books here define, ito, yung abstract class books method define the abstract class. Itong abstract int read function defines the abstract method. The class ebook extends book means a subclass of ebooks extends the parent of a class books. The int read here means this method is a subclass that is being overridden in the abstract method of the parent class. So let's have an example. Tanggalin natin to. Okay. Mag-create tayo ng bagong class na may pangalan na abstract example. Alright, so ito yung ating create na class. And magke-create po tayo ng tinatawag natin na abstract class books. So, ito sabi natin, we create an abstract class. And then, abstract ito naman, we create an abstract method. Close natin. And class ebooks extends books. Open. Ito po ay we are extending the parent class. This one will override the abstract method. So system.out.print ln abstract method in Java demonstration. System.out.print so this one will override the abstract method. Main header, ebooks my book, so dapat wala silang space. And my book give function. Ayan. So let us run. So ito yung nakalagay. O, lagyan natin siya ng ln dito. And ln. Para makita ninyo. Yan. So ito yung pinakita natin. Again, sabi dito, ito ay create an abstract class. Ito namang isa ay abstract method. This code is used to extend the parent class. At ito namang mga to ay we are overriding the abstract method. Okay, next. The abstract method is declared as abstract and does not have implement that is known as the abstract method. So, example, ito yung void direct natin. It create the abstract method. Okay? Now, let's have some sort of examples for us to better understand the lesson. So, let us assume that you are going to design a program that accepts two number and then display its total sum. So, ito yung problem na hindi basta lamang siya basic yung kailangan natin gawin. Okay? So, mag-add tayo. Meron ba dito addition? Okay. I-import natin yung ating scanner. Kasi yung mga sinubmit ninyo dun sa Schoology, ang ginamit ninyo ay just the basic for this dun sa addition. Okay. sabihin natin na publicly owned yung ating integer na value ni A. Ganun din si B at yung ating sum. Public int sum. So, ito yung diniscuss natin. Kumbaga, parang pinagsasama-sama na natin yung mga discussion natin from the first object-oriented programming up to dito sa atin ngayon. System.in. System.out. Addition of two numbers using OOP. Sabi mo, give first value. Value A is equal to input dot next A. Para naman sa value B, we have second value. Ito ay B. Tapos, we will create a method para makapag-calculate. Void calculate. Now, sum is equal to value ni A plus value ni B. Now, para ma-display natin siya, so we will be creating method to display. The sum of plus value A plus N. Is plus the sum. Sabi natin, end ng program. addition add is equal to new addition. Get data. Get add that calculate at yung isa ay add that display. So, pag nilagay natin to, ang first value, second value, the sum of 2 and 4 is 16. So, yun yung isa na ating example para sa ating program. So, problem number 2. Ang problem number 2 natin is to design a program that will accept two numbers and then will compute the product of two numbers using getters and setters in object-oriented programming. So, ito yung inyo ring ginawa or yung isa rin natin to na problem na ibinigay ko sa inyo before. So, we have the solution, product 2. Import ulit natin C utility. Scanner. Tapos, public class product 2 int A, B. Then, public int get value, get A, return A. Sorry, kulang. And then, set A. Int A. This that A equals A. So, ayan, ginamit na natin yung ating this na keyword. Public int B. Return B. Public void B int B. Set get a public int ito get B, return B. Ito ay set B, and then this that B. So, paano natin isosolve? We have public int solve. Product. Return natin the A multiplied by B. In header, yes, ito yung ating pangalan. And then, tawagin natin product 2. Noun is equal to product 2. Then, let out that print product of two numbers. Lagay lang natin, enter the first value. So, ito ay A num A, kasi A is equal to input, hindi pala I dot next 8. So, para naman sa second number, enter the second value. AB, we'll be using num.set A. So, ito yun, num.A. Num.set B. Num.B. Num.get A. At ito ay get B. Tapos, tawagin si solve product. The product of num.A plus and plus num.B is okay. And of program. I that i-close natin. So, try. So, yan. Kasi minultiply natin sa kanila. Though, sabi nyo nga, medyo, kung makikita nyo ito, sasabihin nyo na medyo mahaba. So, but then again, ito yung ating example ng mga diniscuss ko sa inyo kanina. Okay? Now, for today, you will have your activity. Ito ang inyong activity. Isasend ko sa inyong Google Classroom yung inyong magiging activity for today. Mga 2 lang siya. Kung meron kayong katanungan, don't hesitate to ask me. And I think this is the end of our discussion for today. Thank you for listening.